Please make some noise for Nitish Sakhuja!
What's up, guys? Fuck yeah. Appreciate you guys being here. My name is Nitish. Hell yeah, alright. Fuck yeah. I really fucked up my back a couple days ago at the gym. And I didn't know if I was gonna be able to do this, but with the right medication from a friend, you understand? Who was not the doctor. I'm standing right now, you know, so support your local dealer, you know, that's all I can tell you. It's been a fucked up week. I think I hurt my back. I think it was just karma, you know, for that one time that I parked in a handicap spot, right? It's the universe. And it got me thinking, what if I had parked in a pregnant woman's spot, you know? Where would I be right now? I'd probably be the most famous comedian in the world, right? Look at her go. Yeah. It was weird. I had to go to the doctor. I went to the hospital, actually, right away. And, you know, the nurse was like poking my spine, asking me where it hurt. And when she touched it, I was like, ah, you know, screaming like, fucking bitch, you know? And then immediately, I'm sorry, right? And I got to a hospital bed, and then the nurses gave me some fucking, I'm pretty sure it's heroin, you know what I mean? It felt like a sunrise in my heart, you know? I could feel nothing, you know? And the doctor came in, and then he started doing the same test as her. He told me to lean on my side. He started poking my spine all the way down, and I'm like, okay, that's the spot. And then he kept going down. And this guy started poking my ass, and I'm like, okay, hold on, I feel that. Then I swear to God, this guy got near my asshole and started tickling my fucking just outside my bum. And I was like, dog, I feel that, stop it, I don't like it. And he's like, that's good, right? And I'm like, imagine how many people that this has happened to that can't feel that. This guy's just fucking out there having fun, you know what I mean? I don't trust doctors, bro, I don't. That's why personally I'll never get my prostate checked. Honestly, what? This guy wants to put his finger in my ass? Are you serious, bro? You know? There's no way. We have rovers on Mars, bro. And you still gotta put your finger in my asshole? Get the fuck out of here. I think there should be a machine that is shaped as an asshole that you put your finger in and it tells you if there's something in your ass. All right? That's where we've come from technology, and I don't think I could ever go back, you know? Like, I'm a big, Thank you. I'm a big, like, alien guy, you know? And I could just imagine, like, being abducted by aliens, right? But you're in a group, right? And you're like the last guy in the group. You went inside to get a beer or something, right? And when you come out, half the group is already up, and you're like, what the fuck? And then you're the last guy, and you're there, and then you see everybody's lined up, and then they're probing everybody 3 at a time, right? And by like the 6th guy, you're like, okay, this is happening. You understand? You accept your situation. You're like, I am also about to get probed. But now you start putting it as a situation like you're at Service Ontario, right? You're looking at them, and you're like, I hope I don't get that one. You know what I mean? That guy is so rough. You know what I mean? Oh, please don't give me that one. And then you get that person, and they're actually nice. And you're like, oh, it wasn't as bad as I thought. You know? It's fucked. It's fucked. Even though I won't get my prostate checked, I am taking care of myself. You know what I'm saying? Trying to be a better person. Started doing Jujitsu. If you don't know what Jujitsu is, it's like a martial art. Mine's a little different. It's like 2 guys on the ground and we look for pennies. You know what I'm saying? Jujitsu. You know what I'm saying? I'm kidding. Take it easy. Here's the thing. I'm a comedian, so obviously I have lots of Jewish friends, right? And no matter where you stand politically on everything that's going on in the world, I think we should all just be nice to each other, right? Whatever you think politically, we just gotta be kind to each other. Because I was hanging out with one of my Jewish friends, this comic, and another comic walked into the room, went straight to my boy and was like, "What's up, my tunnel digger?" And I was like, "Bro, you cannot say that. It's tunnel digger, you know? Can't hit him with a hard ER, brother, you know? That's disrespect, you know?" No, but for real, I've been like, in the last 4 years, I've lost 100 pounds, right? Thank you. I did it because like I was on mushrooms, right? And I was thinking about the multiverse, right? And I was like, yo, what if a better me shows up and fucks my girl, right? So then that told me that I needed to be the best me that I could be. So if that portal opens, I could fuck their bitches. You know what I'm saying? Because with great power, comes great horny. You know, because when you're powerful, you get horny. That's what I assume. I don't know. If I had a superpower, anybody wish they had a superpower? What would you want? Shout it out. That's such a fucking 1915 answer, you know what I mean? Come on, if I had a superpower, every time I busted a nut, 24 karat gold, all right? That's a superpower, bro. Your boy can't pay rent, you're like, yo, come over, drop. You know? Got you. The woman you love and hate at the very same time. You have tons of passionate, unprotected sex. You bust as many golden nuts inside of her as you can, and then you take her swimming. She drowns, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a heavy metal, bro. It's not buoyant. You know what I mean? How romantic is that? Women love gold, brother. You know? Imagine 6 guys try to rob you. They gotta hold you down and jerk you off. You know what I mean? Yo, stop it, yo. Yo, stop it, yo. Stop. Yo, did you get any? Yeah. Trying to make sure everybody gets paid, bro. You know? I'm moving now. Moving sucks because you gotta fucking pack your shit up and then take it somewhere else and then unpack it. Like, what are we really doing here, brother? You know what I mean? This is insane. I hate it. But something you gotta do. It's so expensive. Everything's so expensive. Round of applause if you live somewhere. You know what I'm talking about, right? Shit's expensive. It's so expensive that my boy, who lives downtown, went on vacation, but the way he did it was he Airbnb'd his condo downtown for 1 month, and someone paid him $12,000 for it. So he took that $12K and went on vacation and Airbnb'd someplace. That guy probably took like the $10K he got from him and went on vacation somewhere else. And that guy probably took the $8K that he got from him, you know, went on the trickle-down effect of people that get to go on vacation because one rich guy went on vacation is insane. You understand what I'm saying? And it all ends with one guy, probably named Eduardo, all right? You can guess his background. I'm not saying anything, okay? He probably gets 1 day off, and he's at the public pool with like 200 other Eduardos, all right? And then he's just in his floaty, and he's like, "Thanks, gods, man." Yeah? It's crazy. It's crazy, the economy. You know? You guys like vacationing? You guys like going on vacation? You guys like all-inclusive vacations? Yeah, fucking all-inclusive vacation. That's like when you first start vacationing and then you're like, okay, it's fun, but then you're like, this is just a luxurious prison. I'm stuck here. Don't leave the resort, it's not safe. Okay. The fuck is going on out there, you know? It's hard to go to an all-inclusive vacation because then you come home and you realize that your life is not inclusive at all, right? After going to Mexico, I learned that I need at least 13 Mexican guys doing something for me at all times for me to thrive, you know? And that's hard to achieve in Canada, you know? At best, I can get like 3 Filipinos, you know? At best, bro, you know? It's hard, man. I don't know. What I like about going to places, I like to go somewhere where there's like an ocean or a sea or something, because like, I'm not a big pool guy. I love swimming in a pool, because like, you know when you're in a lake and something touches your leg, you're like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, bro, don't let a caterpillar touch me, I'll freak out. You know what I'm saying? I'm not that guy, bro, you know? But like, I like going on vacation where there's like oceans and seas, because pools, when there's a lot of people in it, you gotta know there's a bunch of people pissing in this pool, right? I'm not a pool pisser, right? My whole life I was never a pool pisser. If I had to pee, I got out, fucking went and pissed, came back in like a fucking loser. I get it, all right? But I'm not comfortable. It's just a small body. How often are they changing this water? Everybody's just pissing. You know what's going on? You know, it's disgusting. But I've been pissing in the ocean. The ocean's fine, because people have been pissing in the ocean for hundreds of thousands of years. Yeah, that's why the sea levels are rising. Do you understand? Because people keep pissing in it. All right. There's whales pissing in the ocean right now. And I'm not talking about those fishy thingies. I'm saying big old girls. You know what I'm saying? They're pissing right now, bro. I don't know. My favorite place to travel to is like Jamaica. You know? Yeah. It's the only country that when you get there, they let you talk like them. Right? Tell me I'm wrong as soon as you land. Wagwan, you know, wagwan. You know? We all get into it. So you can't go to China and land and be like, hello. They won't like that, bro, you know? They will not like that, so shout out Jamaica, you know? What I've learned throughout my life is like, I want to travel and go everywhere, but my favorite thing to do on vacation is go to a cottage, right? And that's something I've learned as an adult, because I'm an Indian kid growing up. I didn't know what the fuck a cottage was. If you said cottage growing up, the next word was usually cheese. You understand? I didn't know about this fucking secret place in the woods these guys are hiding from us, right? And then I got older and I started going to cottages and I'm like, yo, this is fucking sick, dude. I love going to cottages. And I took it to the extreme level. I went portaging. Anybody ever been portaging? Portaging is fucked, dude. If you don't know what it is, it's like canoeing, camping, hiking. And I say hiking because like, once you get out of the water, you put the canoe on your head and you walk around like a fucking retard, all right? It's fucked, all right? It's some white people shit that I loved, all right? I loved it so much and I would love to do it again. And it's fucked up, but it was my first time, right? It was my first time. It was me, one of my friends, this guy was a black guy, and then there was two white guys who've done this before. They took us out, all right? So there's four of us. And when we're portaging on the paths, we run into some other people. And when I say some other people, I mean white people, all right? And I'm not trying to disrespect you guys in any way. I love white people. I perform comedy in Canada. I'm surrounded by white people all the time, all right? It's just different in the woods, you know what I'm saying? It's a whole different vibe, you know? But, so we pass people, right? And the two white guys are in the front, then it would be me, and then it would be the black guy, and then they'd come in, they'd say hello to the first white guy, hello to the second white guy. I would get a head nod, all right? They're looking at me like, the fuck's the Circle K guy doing all the way out here? You know? They would say nothing to the black guy, right? It was just bad energy. In their head, they're like, this guy's gonna go and tell all the international students about this, all right? And then they're gonna start shitting on our paths, you know? And I did, you know, right? I was just in Vancouver. No love for Vancouver, right? Fuck Vancouver, I know. I like to go to Vancouver only because I like to do mushrooms. That's a nice place to do mushrooms. You know, Vancouver has like... every time I go, I make it a point to spend one night doing mushrooms in Stanley Park, right? And last time I was there, I was with 3 of my friends. It was 4 of us. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. We're on mushrooms. We're walking around Stanley Park. And out of the darkness, out of nowhere, a man starts walking towards us, okay? I'm terrified, all right? Because yeah, there's 4 of us, and I know Jujitsu, you know what I mean? But there's just 2. Why are you alone in the dark? You know what I mean? No light, like who is this man, you know? He's either waiting for somebody or like this guy's hiding from somebody. I don't know, but it was terrifying, all right? And as he got closer to us, he was like, hey, nice beard. And I was like, fuck, he picked me, you know? And here's the thing. I know you're like, what does it matter? Because there's 4 of us, and like one of the guys we were with had Down syndrome, you know? And like, he still picked me, right? The disrespect I felt in that moment, you don't understand. I kept looking at this guy like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? What? And then he got closer and he's like, you got a very Muslim face. That's what he said to me. And I was like, fuck you, buddy, you got a very Christian neck, right? Fuck this guy. Here's the thing, I have a very Muslim face, you know? I just didn't like that he told me this in the darkness. I was like, bro, you don't tell me, I tell you, brother, you know? It was very, I was being a little bitch, all right? Is what I'm trying to say. And in that moment, I realized how much of a little bitch I am, because how much of a little bitch we all are, all right? Because you can't say anything to anybody anymore, never. Like if you were to meet a Chinese person and you were like, hey, are you Chinese? And they're like, how did you know? You gotta be like, I don't know, you know? I don't know, you know? It's just your vibe, you know? It's just your feng shui, you know? It's nothing in particular, you know? It's nice, you know what I mean? Yeah. People love Vancouver because of like the scenery, eh? People love, you guys like mountains and shit? Vancouver's nice because it has the perfect ratio of mountains and people on fentanyl. You know? Like, you have to look in between for the beauty, right? You ever seen somebody on fentanyl? If you haven't seen it, they take it and the position they're standing in, they just go like this. For hours, all right? For hours. So it's crazy because you'll be walking around and you'll see all these big, beautiful mountains in the background and then all these little mountains in front of you. And you're like, this one I can climb, right? This one, I know, okay. It's right there, bro, you know? That's why I love Toronto, man. We got good, solid crackheads, brother, you know? Like, yeah, we have a fentanyl problem, but our crackheads got a little fucking pep in their step, you know? Like in Vancouver, you'll walk by 500 people high on fentanyl, no one will ask you for change, no one wants a cigarette. There's no sense of community, you know? In Toronto, a crackhead will make eye contact with you 900 meters away, all right? And that means in a minute and a half, you're about to have an interaction, okay? That's community. That's all I'm trying to say, man. It's fucking... I love crackheads, dude, you know? They should be the national mascot for Toronto, all right? They represent freedom, you know? What's more free than while you're walking, you take a shit and you continue to walk, you know? That's freedom, brother, you know? Smells like it, you know? I don't know, man. I'm a firm believer in manifestation, you know? Law of attraction. If you really want something and you believe it, you can achieve it. Real shit. There's no better example of that than a crackhead, all right? Because crackheads always have crack. They don't have jobs, you know what I mean? Where the fuck, how, they're manifesting this shit, you know what I mean? It's where their focus is here, it's where their focus is here, and they get it over here, you know? Ask yourself, what controls a crackhead? Crack, exactly. How many things control your life though, right? Job, rent, family, bills, obligations. Imagine giving all that up for one hit, you know? It's cheaper to do crack every day than it is to pay rent in the city. For $15 a day, you can get as high as fuck and then sleep wherever the fuck you want for free, all right? Location, location, location. That's all. I sell crack, all right? So if everybody could look under their chairs, somebody's got an addiction now, all right? I once asked a crackhead for advice. You ever pull a tootie out in front of a crackhead? Their tail starts wagging, you know? They want it so badly, right? And one time I was like, yo, give me some advice and I'll give you the tootie. Crackhead looked at me and said, don't do crack, all right? I was like, yo, you should talk at schools, brother, you know, that's, the kids will be terrified, you know, it'll work. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out, like, how everybody has an insecurity, you know? Like my girlfriend, every time she looks at a crackhead, she can't understand, like, she gets jealous, you know what I'm saying? Because she's like, how do they get their legs so skinny? You know, like, because we all have. And she's my girlfriend. And then that's the thing about girlfriends. They say things and you're like, it pisses you off for some reason, you know? I think it's because you're fucking them. You know what I mean? When you're fucking somebody, you know how people say girlfriends ask all these stupid questions, like, you know, and it pisses you off. It's only stupid because she's your girlfriend. Like, girlfriend, if I was a grizzly bear, would you still want to see me in lingerie, right? And you're like, what the fuck? Yeah, I guess, and then I'd fuck you and spread bear AIDS or whatever, you know? This is what you want, you know? It pisses me off. But the thing is, when you're high with your boys, just mushrooms, smoking weed, whatever, in that silence, your boys will ask you the same type of questions. But because you're not fucking them, right? You accept it and you think about it. You know what I mean? It's such a weird dynamic. Like, I was smoking weed with my boy. We were sitting on the couch, fried, silence. And then he goes, bro, imagine I was a toilet. And I did, brother. You know what I mean? I was like, if you were a toilet, dude, I would shit in you, all right? And then he goes, oh man, being a toilet would be so disgusting. And I'm like, you're wrong, bro, right? You're looking at it. You're projecting your own insecurities onto the toilet, you know? Because now you're the toilet, like, oh, I don't shit in me, you know? The toilet loves shit and piss, all right? It was designed only for shit and piss. Like when you throw up in a toilet, the toilet's like, yo, what is it, my birthday, bro? You know? It gets jacked up, bro. You're looking at it all wrong. And that's how much I thought about it. Do you understand? Because we're not fucking each other, right? When I was 20 and I was in college, we had a foreign exchange student, and it was this Chinese guy, and like, I won't do the accent, but imagine it, all right? We were sitting there in silence, we were on mushrooms, we're sitting on a bench, silent, and then he goes, you know, a lot of people say that Asian guys have small penises. And I was like, yeah, I know, I've heard that, you know? And he goes, it's actually not our fault, it's evolution. It's because Chinese women have shallow vaginas, you know? And this guy blew my mind. At 20 years old, I had never thought of it from this perspective before, you know? My whole life I was like, haha, Chinese guy, small penis, you know? When I should have been like, haha, Chinese woman, you know, shallow vagina, you know? Your vagina's so shallow, you can't even put a phone in there, you know? So shallow, bro, you know? What do we want in America? Deep end pussies, you know? Not that shallow shit. But I don't know, I think it's probably because I've been with my girl for a long time. I've been with my girl for a long time. Like before there were apps, you know? Like pre-Tinder. And that's a time period, not her name. You know what I'm saying? It was before. Can we all agree that the world's fucked? You know how I know the world's fucked? You ever seen a dog that looks like it has more money than you? In Toronto, you see that a lot. I prefer countries with poor dogs, you know? You know poor dogs? The ones that like chew bumpers and shit, you know? I love seeing that, you know? It makes me feel as a human on top where I should, you know, or I should be. Here I got, dogs are supposed to scare you, but not for like a socioeconomical reason, right? These dogs are wearing leather jackets, chains, right? Saw a dog with pockets the other day. You ever seen a dog with pockets? Why the fuck does a dog have pockets? Ask yourself. You can never put his hands in there to get anything out of it, you know? This is a dog. On a human level, how disrespect is it that a dog has pockets and women don't have pockets, you know? But I tell you that as a man, right? And I have to tell you I'm a man, because this is not a work email, right? So how would you know that I am? But I'm a man. I've been a man my whole life. I don't know if you could tell, but I have been. And you know what that means, being a man my whole life? That I always had pockets, right? Since I was little, I had pockets. And I thought everybody had pockets. But then you grow up, through the grapevine, you hear women don't have pockets. But I can't confirm, because I am a man. You see my dilemma? You know what I'm talking about? It's like when people tell me black guys have big dicks, it's like, maybe. How the fuck would I know, right? How do you know that black guys have big dicks, you know? Did you know black guys have big dicks? You're taking way too long to answer that. This guy's like, oh, I know too much. You know? Every day, bro, I know. I want to stop knowing. I don't know. I'm trying to be a better person. You know, like, I don't know. You ever think that you were raised poorly? You ever think that? I was raised by a misogynist, you know? But he's funny, so, you know? So it's kind of like acceptable, you know? Because some people are just assholes and you're like, yo, fuck this guy, you know? But some people are like assholes, but they're funny and you're like, this fucking guy. That's my dad, because he was a misogynist, but it was funny. Like, growing up, his favorite thing to say was, woman driver, no survivor, you know? And I believed him for so long, you know? That's why mom never drives, you know? And then you go outside and then you see all these women driving, you're like, how the fuck are we surviving, right? Dad, you know? He taught me some lessons, you know? He taught me that once he was drunk, right? He slapped me across the face and he went, life is like onion, and then he passed out, right? So, to this day, I'm still trying to figure out what the fuck that means, you know? Like, is he trying to tell me some of them are Spanish, you know? If you cut it, you'll cry, right? He's probably telling me there's layers to this shit, you know? This guy's fucked, bro, you know? I love it. I love how hard you're laughing. Thank you, bro. Thank you. You're good? What's your name? Hell yeah, bro. You know? Fuck the rest of you. Me and this guy. We're gonna go talk in the back, alright? Everything I say, hello. Oh. You like water? Oh, yeah. Appreciate it, man. You guys have jobs? People act like that's a weird question, like, obviously, you know? Not everybody has a job, bro, you know? I've done enough mushrooms to know that none of us should actually have jobs, right? It's not our purpose here, but here we are. I'm at work right now, doing what I absolutely want to do. This is all I want in my life. This is what I want to do, but I don't want to be here, you know what I'm saying? But I'm here, you know? Leave my feelings at the door and I provide exemplary customer service. You understand? I'm at work, right? It's just, it sucks that people have to actually work, man. Like, I don't know. And we start working young too, right? I started working when I was 14. I got a job at Cineplex with 10 other 14-year-olds. There should never be that many 14-year-olds working together anywhere unless they're making shoes. You know what I'm saying? And that shouldn't be happening, right? There was so many of us, and it's like, you know what happens when there's like 10, 14-year-olds in the back of a Cineplex? One of them is gonna put their balls in the fry bucket, okay? And the fry bucket is a bucket of uncooked fries sitting in water. I would never put my balls in the fry bucket because I was raised a nice, young, polite Indian boy, you know? I would never put my balls in food water, you understand? But one day I met James, all right? And James dipped his balls in the fucking fry bucket. One of the funniest things I've ever experienced in my life, you know? I was like, what kind of cartoons does he watch? You know, this guy is hilarious, bro, you know? And don't think of it as yourself. Think of it as a 14-year-old boy watching another 14-year-old boy put his balls in the fry bucket. That's probably one of the funniest things you've ever seen since like you were 2 when your dad came around the corner really fast and went, bleh, you know? Like, core memory shit, you know? It's nice. I mean, basically what I'm telling you is don't eat food at Cineplex, right? Yeah. Because a lot of it may contain nuts. I don't know if you... That's where I started smoking weed too, at Cineplex. When I was 14. I think 14 is too young to start smoking weed. Oh, why? Hell yeah, right? Life. I guess that's why I smoked weed too. Life, bro, it happened, so I fucking partook, you know? But I think 14 is too young, personally, because you're just starting to have your own thoughts. You're just starting to fucking have your own opinions. and now you're getting high and you're ruining them. They're still your opinions, they're weird though, you know, like they're wrong, right? I was 14, smoking weed, working the till, went on break, got so high, I confused time and money, all right? Because I'm smoking, right? And I'm like, yo, how come time goes to 60, but money goes to 100? You know what I'm saying? And I couldn't stop thinking about it. And then for hours, I was just giving the wrong change, you know? Because I was giving time change, you know? I should have been giving money change, but I was 14 and I was high. You understand? I should be making shoes right now. You know? This is what's going on, right? There's some cool jobs out there. I think the worst job you can have is, no matter what you do, working in an office. If you work in an office, fucking sucks, dude. You could literally have the title of fun organizer, you know? Sucks that you work in an office. Your fucking shirt's tucked into your pants. Your arm can only go up to here, right? You get there early, you make some coffee, look at somebody across the room that you absolutely hate, and you're like, morning, you know? Shoot me in the face, bro, if I ever have to fucking morning somebody, you know? I used to work in an office. I spent 99.999% of my time faking taking a shit, all right? I would legit bring an extra pair of shoes to shit with, so you can never match the shit shoes with the office shoes, you know what I'm saying? People come into the washroom like, who is that, right? Like Batman, bro, right? Every day I came to work with a duffel bag, and people are like, yo, are you working out before work? And I'm like, yeah, no big deal. But really, it's just my shit shoes, right? Like, I bought those shoes specifically to shit with. Walked in the Foot Locker, and I was like, yo, my guy, what's a good shoe for sitting down, you know? What the guy said to me blew my mind. He's like, yo, bro, literally any shoe. I was like, oh, shit. That's so profound, bro, you know? Because I had never thought of it like that. It makes perfect sense. It made me realize that that's why people in wheelchairs always have the freshest shoes, right? Putting brand new shoes on a guy in a wheelchair is like taking a toy and putting it in a glass case, right? It's protected forever. You ever seen a guy in a wheelchair with dirty shoes? No. It's fucking suspicious, bro. You know what I'm saying? What are those, old shoes or a new chair? You know? I don't have a job, you know? I do stand-up comedy, so I wake up in the morning, I sit down and wait for nighttime. You understand? It's a lot of fucking time to just think. And I start thinking weird things, you know? Like, you guys notice the birds getting up earlier? Anybody? Nah, don't lie to me. You didn't fucking notice, bro. You know? When we were young, the birds used to get up at 5 a.m. That's how you knew you were home late. I've been paying attention. The birds are getting up at 1:30 now. And I'm not the bird police. But it's like, go to bed, brother. You know? Why are you up? This is too early, right? So I Googled it. Turns out the poles are shifting. So birds are migrating at different rates. Birds that haven't come here before are coming here at earlier times. And it's like, the early bird catches the worm. But all these goddamn immigrant birds coming here, all right? Eating up all the worms, right? And then the birds that have been here the whole time, they wake up at 5 a.m., all right? And there's no worms, right? Because all the goddamn immigrant birds, they took our worms, you know? It's fucking crazy how life and nature coexist. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. I had this thought that, like, okay, first of all, how blessed are we to wake up every morning and not hear bombs and shit? You know? Especially in this time. I live downtown. Every morning I wake up, first thing I do is I open my window and the first thing I hear is two crackheads fighting every single time. And honestly, that's how I know everything's gonna be okay. You understand? Because if they're good, I'm good, right? Because I had an epiphany. I'm not talking about sex with a black woman. I had this thought, right? That it doesn't matter where your dad busts his nut. It's where your mom travels to afterwards that makes all the difference. You understand what I'm saying? Right? Like, I could have been born in India. Can you imagine my life if I was born in India? I mean, I still would have came here 17 years later to go to Humber College, but can you imagine the path that I would have to take, right? And like the world's about to go to war, bro. But the problem is there's Indian people everywhere. There's nowhere in this world that Indian people are not there, you know? And it makes me think if we had to go to war and I got drafted to fight for Canada and I got sent to some foreign land, about to shoot some guy in the face, take his mask off, my cousin? You know what I'm saying? I haven't seen you in forever, bro, you know? Because his mom moved to Germany, so now I have to kill him for Justin, you know? And I'll do it, bro, you know what I'm saying? Because here's the thing, I'm Canadian, right? I'm Indian, but I'm Canadian, born and raised in Canada. But I am an Indian guy, but don't get it twisted. I'll punch an Indian guy in the face for Canada, you know what I'm saying? I'll do it from behind, I'll do him dirty, all right? But at the end of the day, I am Indian, all right? And I don't know. I won't tell people, you know, the international students, I won't tell them about your secrets, you know what I'm saying? About the portaging. But I can't do anything about the shitting on the beach. That's on you guys. That's for you guys to figure out. And just heads up, before the Europeans got here, there was Indians shitting on the beach before too. All right, it's a different kind. You know? I was in a shawarma shop, right? You know when you're in a building and you see signs that say like exit, no exit, normal signs? There was a sign behind the shawarma guy that said absolutely no exit, all right? And I can't stop thinking about it, all right? Because it's like, what do you mean, bro? All you had to say was no exit. When you say absolutely no exit, I got a feeling there's an exit here somewhere. This guy does not want us to know about, you know? And I can't take my mind off of it, right? It's like, imagine the universe, you know? They tell us it's expanding forever, right? Imagine you were fast enough to get to the edge as it expands. I promise you there will be a sign there that says, absolutely no exit, all right? And you see the shawarma guy going, you go, you go, you go, Muhammad, all right? I don't know. I had this thought, thinking about like where we all came from. You guys ever think about that? Like, every single one of us is here because our fathers went, ugh. All right? And no matter what your relationship is with your father, good or bad, that was the best you ever made him feel. All right? Whatever, that's not the thought, that's just a side quest. Here's the thought, all right? Before our fathers busted their nuts, we can all agree that the population was smaller. Agreed? Yes. And we can all agree before their fathers busted their nuts, population was smaller than that, right? So, if my math is correct, all right, if we keep going back busted nuts, eventually we'll get to the first guy, all right? Because there has to be the first guy that busted this nut, right? And I'm not asking where he came from. I got other questions for this guy, you know? Like, imagine being the first guy. There's no one to reference anything off of. You're the first guy. You don't know anything. There's no one to tell you, like, I'm not talking about fire or the wheel. I'm talking about you're the first guy. One day you woke up and your dick was hard. What did you do? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's the first guy. How did he know what horny was? He didn't understand. He just woke up, his dick was hard, he got aggressive, punched a tree probably, right? This is first guy problems, all right? Imagine the first time the first guy saw a vagina. He was probably like, dude, the fuck happened to your dick, right? He's probably like, that's an open wound, brother, you know? Put a banana leaf on that, you know? I don't know, you know, he's the first guy. There was no infrastructure, can we agree? So the first guy, like, he was outside a lot, all right? And I'm not talking about like he was in a cave, maybe, but that's still outside, you know what I'm saying? That's not inside yet. So I'm just saying, this guy probably jerked off a lot outside, all right? Probably had some beautiful scenery, unpolluted by man, no infrastructure, you know? This guy's jerking off mountains, fucking deer frolicking and shit, right? A river. This guy probably busted a nut into the most perfect tulip you've ever seen in your life. Held it in there like a vase. Now a little squirrel might have run by, and his tail brushes the tulip. And for the rest of the summer, that squirrel has a crispy tail, right? That was a long way to go for a dry cum joke, but straight up, life's a journey, you know what I mean? So thanks for taking that ride with me. My girl's been making me watch Survivor, and like, yo, I learned I probably won't survive, bro, you know? Like, who knows how to build a fire? Round of applause if you know how to build a fire. Nice. Round of applause if you know how to build a fire if Home Depot Canadian Tire is closed. You know? Okay, round of applause if you know how to build a fire if your father's shed is unavailable. All right? Still, 3 guys, 1 lady. You know how to build a fire with just sticks? Just wood?
Yeah.
You understand what's gonna happen? This lady is gonna fuck all of our wives, all right? Because none of us know how to make fire. We're gonna be like telling our girls, okay, go fuck him and bring back some heat. You know what I mean? What are we gonna do? Good for you, man, woman. You know? That's awesome, man. I'm fucked, dude. I don't know. I don't like. It's know thyself. You know, hunter or gatherer. Personally, I know I'm not a hunter. Round of applause if you think you're a hunter. Straight up, you're all gatherers, all right? We're all, Loblaws hunts, we gather, all right? We become good gatherers. It's just, we're fucked, man, you know? Because personally, the reason I can't hunt is because I've done mushrooms too many times and I can't kill anything, you know? I hope one of my boys could kill something so I could be like, yo, Doc, can I have some? You know? I can't do it myself, so I don't know. They'd be like, bro, are you a hunter or are you a gatherer? I could be like, fuck, I'm a gatherer, you know? Just fucking take blueberries and shit back to my room or whatever. I can't kill anything, bro. And here's the thing about the apocalypse. After a couple days, they're gonna realize that you haven't killed any goats. And the guy with the gun is gonna come to you and be like, bro, you either start killing goats or you're gonna start sucking dick, all right? And I promise you, your response is gonna be, holy fuck, life comes at you fast. Because it's only day 2 of the apocalypse, you know? I still have cans, brother, right? I thought this was like a day 50 thing, you know? But here we are, right? It's fucked, bro. I don't know, man. I think we're pretty fucked. Like, you guys ever think about year 7? I'm not talking about Jesus 7. I'm talking about the 7th year that fucking humans were walking around like, holy fuck, look at us, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, year 7. A little bit further than the first guy that came a little while ago. You know what I mean? Like, 7 years later, more people. Men hunted, women gathered. That's how it was, right? Every time the men hunted, wasn't always a successful hunt. Every time the women gathered, always gathered some shit. Imagine going out after you just caught a buffalo. 2 weeks later, you go out. There's no buffalo. You're like, where the fuck's all the buffalo? You don't know migration. You understand? You don't know they're gonna come back. You're just like, bro, if I don't come back with a buffalo, my cave wife is gonna be such a cave bitch. You understand? I need to find this buffalo, right? And you hunt and you find nothing and you head back. Fucking angry fucking cave wife waiting for you. She's like, where the fuck's the meat? You're like, baby, how do I explain migration to you? I don't even understand myself. Where the fuck are the buffalo? There was none there. And she goes, no buffalo? You're lying. You're probably at some other cave bitch's cave, you know? And you're like, baby, no. Your cave is the only cave I want, you know? And she's like, well, you have no meat, so here, eat the shit I gathered, because we always eat the shit I gathered. And you're eating it, and you're like, oh, cave bitch, you know? And no matter what our situation is, humans, no matter what reality we live in, it's gonna be a guy, it's gonna be a girl, and we're gonna fight. And it's gonna be like that no matter where we are. You live in space, you're gonna be like, ah, space bitch, you know? You live in the ocean, you're like, ah, ocean bitch, you know? We're fucked, bro. No matter what happens, that's how it's gonna be. You know? How you guys doing? You guys all right? I'm high as fuck, so I took you guys down that fucking path with me. Yeah, I really appreciate it. I'm gonna tell you guys one more joke, and we're gonna get out of here. How you guys feel about that? You guys good? Yeah. Okay. This is it's a dark joke. It's a personal joke, so I hope you guys enjoy it. My girl came home from work the other day, and she was telling me about this girl she works with. She told me they've been working together for 10 years, and every day this girl comes to work and talks loudly, openly, to everybody about how her husband abuses her. She tells me this, in confidentiality, by the way, so don't talk about this afterwards, all right? Keep it to yourself. She tells me this, and my reaction right away is, that's fucked up. And she goes, I know. Isn't that embarrassing? And I was like, what, you think that's embarrassing? She goes, yeah, that was me, I wouldn't tell anybody. How fucked up is that? But low key, how sick is that for me, you know? I would never. But I'm saying if I did, how would you know? You know? She's not saying nothing. Guys, my name is Nitish. Thank you so much for coming out. I appreciate y'all. Thank you. Have a good night.